Today I thought we'd just have a quick look at one or two of the more unusual things with autumn colour. As ever in Cornwall, most of our autumn colour has been blown away in Storm Debbie and Storm Ciarán and in a flood of wet weather. But there are still a few things which are really quite exceptional and well worth a look in mid-November. And this is Quercus palustris flaming Suzy, and really as good a red leaf as you could wish to see. Where a day or two later it was better than this a day or two ago, because the red fades into this sort of fairly attractive brown colour, but it's not quite at its most spectacular. But what a good show! What a good show of reds that is. But if we look at another plant of flaming Suzy just down here, which is a bit younger, we see that actually the leaf in this younger plant is much bigger and an even more spectacular red. The first plant we were looking at is about 10 years old, and this one is only 4 or 5. Perhaps the very best leaves appear on younger plants. Wonderful shape. There's often good colour on Stewartias, and this year it's no exception. And have a look at the intricacy of the oranges and reds in Stewartia sinensis or Stewartia gemata. A wonderful mix of colours, ending up in reds, but going through yellow and orange along the way. A week ago this tree was all still green, and some of the other Stewartia species were looking fantastic, but I'm afraid it was rather too wet a day then to try and film a few of them. I think possibly the absolute best autumn colour at Caerhays in the last few years has been this wonderful Liriodendron, which I'm standing in front of. This is not the ordinary Liriodendron tulipifera. This is Liriodendron chinense, which has very distinct shaped leaves with a very pronounced and distinctive shape, which is quite unmistakable. And when you look up, you can see seeds from where this was flowering during the course of the summer. But as yellows go, what an astonishing yellow this is, and it's still probably 3 or 4 days away from its very best. If we had 3 or 4 sunny days, that would absolutely make it. And an interesting contrast beside it is the almost black leaves now of Magnolia obovata. And as we look up the tree, we see that there are still some green leaves towards the end of the shoots at the top of the tree, but that quite quickly the rest of the leaves have turned very dark brown and appearing almost black from a distance. And this, set against the yellow of the Liriodendron, is really quite an extraordinary and interesting contrast. Not maybe as good as seeing the magnolia in full flower in the spring, but well worth more than a passing glance today. Another couple of contrasts with really quite rare plants. This is the white-flowered Enkianthus serrulatus. Many Enkianthus have very good autumn tints and colours, but serrulatus really is top billing when it comes to colour. And this in a week has gone from green to yellow and then to orange, and we're just seeing wonderful red at the edges of the leaves. And if we turn over here and look at the really rather rare lime tree, This is Tilia kiusiana. You wouldn't necessarily guess, looking at the leaves, that this is actually a lime tree, but it is. And see the beautiful dapple green and then yellow, which these leaves are turning as they begin to fall onto the ground and make a carpet of yellow. If we'd actually had any frost this autumn, this yellowing would have come more quickly and would be much more pronounced. But in Cornwall you have to fight against strong westerly gales to have any chance of seeing some decent autumn colour, so we have to enjoy it while we can. Possibly the best autumn colour today in the garden is Cornus alternifolia. And this small tree here was a seedling which grew from the old original plant further down the bank, which strangely doesn't seem to have in its old age any of this startling yellowish white colour which the seedling of a much younger age certainly does. I mean, it's almost ghost-like to see these almost white leaves hanging against a dark sky and starting to fall to the ground. And yet here and there at the very tips of the branches there are still a few green leaves, but when you look up into the tree, really all you see is white or very, very pale yellow. A remarkable display, but clearly a display confined to rather young trees and not to the 100-year-old parents, but a wonderful thing nonetheless.